Hey everyone, this is the second part of a video series on VA burial benefits. Today we'll be looking at VA burial allowances. If you are going to be buried at a private cemetery or plan to be, or if your loved one has passed away and you are planning to bury them in a private cemetery, this video will go over how to get a burial allowance for transportation costs, headstones, things of that nature. So I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about VA burial benefits and burial allowances. We're going to talk about eligibility, what it covers, and how to apply. The burial benefit allowances provide for more than just a financial reimbursement. And to learn more about headstones and markers, medallions, presidential memorial certificates, burial flags, urns and plaques, bereavement counseling, environmentally friendly burials called green burials, and burial allowance itself, you'll want to go to www.cem.va.gov/burial-memorial-benefits. If you are interested in any of these things, I highly recommend going there because there are certain stipulations. For instance, if you choose a government-issued urn or plaque, the VA is prohibited by law from interring that veteran's remains in a VA national cemetery or from providing a headstone. And according to the VA website here, it says that the law does not provide a method to restore these benefits. So make sure you know what these benefits are and whether they're the ones you want. And the full list and more details is again at the website listed here. It will be in the description as well. So next, recipients of burial benefits are those who are paying for the burial and funeral costs of the veteran more or less. So you have surviving spouses, legal unions, surviving child, a parent, a family member or friend who is not the executor of this veteran's estate, although the executor or administrator of the veteran's estate can receive the burial benefit. So a representative of a funeral home, cemetery, or other organization. Again, you may be eligible for veterans' burial allowances if you're paying for the burial and funeral costs. Also, you won't be reimbursed by any other organization like another government agency or the veteran's employer. Further eligibility requirements, the veteran must have not received a dishonorable discharge, and the circumstances of their death for receiving a burial allowance can be service-connected if the veteran died as a result of a service-connected disability, or they were receiving VA care at a VA facility or a contracted facility, or while traveling with authorization to a VA facility for treatment, care, or an examination. Pension or compensation, so if the veteran died with an original or reopened claim, or if they were receiving VA pension or compensation, or they died while receiving retirement pay instead of compensation. The VA will also provide an allowance for the cost of transporting a veteran's remains for burial in a national cemetery. So most of this burial allowance is if you're going to be buried in a private cemetery. Although there will be provision for transporting a veteran's remains in a national cemetery as well. So certain individuals who cannot receive burial allowances or their family won't be reimbursed for burial costs, those who died on active duty, or if the veteran died while serving as a member of Congress. I'm assuming that's because these will be paid for by either the military or Congress. And then finally, if the veteran died while serving a federal prison sentence. So what the burial allowance covers are funeral costs and burial. Look at the first box here. You'll see the examples are service connected on or after September 11th, 2001. The veteran's family will receive, or executor or whatever, will receive $2,000. And if the veteran was non-service connected and they died on or after October 2024, you'll receive $978 for a burial allowance and $978 for the plot allowance. Again, so the next box is just breaking down plot or interment allowance. You'll notice that the date here determines how much you receive. The headstone marker is included in the burial allowances. You just have to apply if the veteran's being buried at a private cemetery. So the 978, the headstone will not be deducted from the 978 if you apply for a VA issued headstone marker. The transportation of remains costs, the VA may pay back transportation costs if the veteran was either hospitalized in a VA contracted nursing home or died while traveling to VA authorized care. The time limits on filing. So there are no time limits for service-connected deaths. You're going to have to pay the funeral costs up front, and these benefits are reimbursements that you apply for, as you're going through life after the veteran's passing. If the veteran died of a non-service connected death or a death prior to a discharge status upgrade, you only have 2 years to apply to receive something back for the money that you put into the burial. Whereas if they are service connected, then there is no time limit on filing. Again, the VA may pay you back for some or all of the cost of moving the veteran's remains, just depends on your situation. So there's an interesting note here that says you don't need to file a claim as a surviving spouse as long as you're listed on the veteran's profile. I'm assuming that is if you were the one who paid for the burial costs, but we'll take a closer look at this when we go through the website, which we're going to get to now. Okay, so we're all familiar with the VA website. Just go there to www.va.gov, click on Benefits and Healthcare, find Burials and Memorials, and you'll see Veteran Burial Allowance. So if you have any further questions, I would recommend going here. And also the National Cemetery website, there is a link in the description. So again, here's the question. So it says, as a surviving spouse, do I need to file a claim for burial costs? You will automatically receive a set amount to eligible surviving spouses to help pay for the plot, the cost of interment, or transportation of the remains to the cemetery. So if you're worried about paying, go ahead and we'll look at the table so you know how much you have to spend and how much you need to get covered for you. But you will be reimbursed automatically by the VA. All right, here are the burial allowance amounts tables. If you just scroll further down the page here, you'll see that service-connected deaths have two different maximum burial allowances depending on if the veteran died on or after September 11th. All right, so for the non-service connected deaths, you'll notice that the further back you go, the more rapidly the burial allowance amount drops, all the way down to $300 if the veteran died on or after October 1st, 2022, but before January 5th, 2023. Then it'll be a $300 burial allowance and $893 for a plot. So the plot allowance is still stays up pretty high, but the burial allowance itself drops significantly. In contrast, if it was a non-service connected death, but the veteran was hospitalized by the VA at the time of their death, the burial allowance will stay significantly higher all the way back till October 1st, 2013. So you can apply online. You will need a ID.me account that is connected to the VA as a spouse to apply online, or you can apply by mail if that's easier. You'll send Form 21P-530EZ to the Department of Veterans Affairs Pension Intake Center, P.O. Box 5365, Janesville, Wisconsin, 53547-5365. Okay, so we'll take a quick look at the form. It's a rather long PDF. It's 8 pages long. Most of that is information on when to use the form and evidence tables. I would recommend that you read all of this stuff, as it will help you fill out the form if you have any questions. Or if you do have questions as you fill out the form, go back to those sections and there will probably be an explanation there. Well, I hope you found that information useful. Any document or any link mentioned in the video will be available in the description. If you'd like to support us, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this video. Also visit our website, vets.com. We have a store. You can purchase products that will help us not only keep the lights on, but supports our Veterans Automotive Service Program, which you can learn more about at vets.com. Thanks again. See you next time.